God, politics, and sports. Three areas people say you should try to avoid. But here we are. I'm Bill Smith, and I look forward to talking to you about faith, politics, and sports. Good afternoon, everybody. Or should I say hello, everybody? Not just good afternoon. Just what's up? What's going on, peeps? This is your man, Bill Smith. Welcome to GPS with Bill Smith. I'm Bill Smith, like I said, for the third time. So if you don't know who I am by now, you're not paying attention. I absolutely love this shirt, the original Black Panthers. Look at this, the tank unit. I absolutely love this shirt. I think it's so great that there's history out there that we can all see that people have contributed to this great nation of ours. And I'm excited to be speaking with you all. Like one person said, from coast to coast and border to border. This is a fun time and a great time to be able to reach out and talk to everyone. Let me ask y'all something real quick. How was your Resurrection Sunday? How was your Sunday? Did everything go as you wanted it to go? Did you have a great time this weekend, this past weekend? Some people went to church. Praise God if you went to church. Some people went to their annuals, going to church time period. But did you get something out of it? Did God share something with you during this time? Many people, maybe they didn't go. They spent time with family. I'm not here to condemn. I'm not here to judge. I'm just asking you, how was your resurrection? I call it resurrection or Easter weekend. Please put it in the comments and let us know. Because I understand one thing. One of the things I love, one of my favorite scriptures, Joshua 1:7-8, and where God tells us to be strong and courageous. He's telling Joshua that. And in turn, he's telling us that, to be strong and courageous. But also Galatians 5:1 says, freedom requires maturity. God is not done with you yet. So when we talk about that and our freedom, if you look at Galatians 5:1, that our freedom requires maturity. And know that doesn't say that in it, but I'm just saying in general. Galatians 5:1 talks about how our freedom requires maturity, and God is not done with you yet. But anyway, this segment of GPS, God, Politics, and Sports, is brought to you by our sponsor, Q Craft Sausage. You can text 706-409-3532 or DM at Marquez Carr, MarquezCarr on IG, and at Deonta.Carr on Facebook, Deonta.Carr on Facebook. So get out there and get some of that awesome Q Craft Sausage. It's selling. It's starting to hit Texas like crazy. So I know the rest of the country, you're going to enjoy Q Craft Sausage. Get on out there, one of our great sponsors. Now, usually I start off with God, which I guess I did start off talking about Joshua 1:7-8 and Galatians 5:1. But I do want to touch on something real quick. The time period of the SEC being the head of everything when it comes to sports has ended the last couple years. Now it seems that the Big Ten is running things. And I looked at it and I said, wait a second. The Big Ten won football, Indiana, men's and women's basketball, which is UCLA and Michigan, wrestling with Penn State, and they had two teams that were playing in the Final Four in we call frozen ice in hockey. And I'm just thinking, man, the Big Ten is running rampant right now with the winter fall into the winter sports. The Big Ten is really in the major ones, if you will. Not the soccer's not major or some of the other ones, but in this major one, the Big Ten is really losing its mind. And especially in football, because, you remember with football, it used to be everything was based off the SEC. Everything. Alabama this, Alabama that, Auburn this, Tennessee that, Florida this, Georgia this, everything. But the last couple of years, Ohio State, Indiana. It's been a Big Ten fest, especially in football. Now we'll see what's coming up this year. And you know, I will be knee deep in talking about that this coming year when it comes to such things on this awesome podcast of God, Politics, and Sports. But I just wanted to touch on that real quick. And I'm pretty sure before I get done with this, I'm going to revisit that point because I really think it's something important that I think is awesome. I think that with the NIL, and I'm glad that the president stepped into that in some areas because folks were losing their mind with it. But with NIL, transfer portal, and I'm glad the NCAA started to limit that so people aren't transferring just at random. Those things are so important because it's starting the parity. I really like this shirt. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get off topic, bro. I really like this shirt. But anyway, it's such an awesome time period in the sports world when it comes to NCAA sports and the changes that we see. And another thing, just so you know, if you look at that college basketball and who won a championship, look at how many seniors were on those teams. Even in the women's game, UCLA in the Final Four, every point was scored by seniors. We cannot take away from senior leadership and kids putting in 4 years of school. I really wish they would look at that a lot more, especially with kids coming out for basketball. They're pulling a lot. Not that they don't have to build. And I can't stand, and this is going to be maybe the political side of it. I can't stand when people say, well, you don't do that with little white kids in tennis, or you don't do that with golf, or you don't do that with. Listen, a lot of those people who may be pulling up stakes and early doing that, they have maybe a financial advantage to do that if they happen not make it. But a lot of these young men, I don't, and let me say this, I don't care if you black, white, Hispanic, Asian. Those 3 years of college, minimum 2 years of college, but 3 years to 4 years can really make a difference. So I really like the NFL rule. You can't come out till your third year. After you got to be out of high school for at least 3 years. And when people say stuff silly, oh, they would have been just as good coming out now. These are grown men you're messing with in the NFL. You may torture an 18-year-old and make it look like you, but these are grown daggone men. And you tell somebody with their little 18, 19-year-old body to come across the middle, and some of these safeties are bringing that wood like they do. Some of these linebackers bringing that wood like they do. Somebody's kid getting put to sleep. They need them couple extra years of putting a little wear and tear on the body comes back to help. So with that. But anyway, it's so great to see those things in the sports world, and it's an exciting time with that, and we're going to get back to that because there's so many things going on that I do want to address during this time. And especially, I love professional wrestling. I love the talk that comes out, especially with growing up when you had the Dusty Rhodes and the Ric Flairs and the Hogans, and those guys would put on some serious interviews and promos they would put on there, and Magnum TAs and the Arn Andersons. These guys could talk. I mean, they talked you into your seat. I love to see that, but it doesn't mean I want to see it coming from our president. And our country is facing many challenges over the last few weeks. We faced many challenges, and we're still the partial government shutdown is winding down, I believe. I love the fact that he stepped up and said, we're going to pay these people. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. It's a travesty that you have people out there that you want to defend our country. And to understand one thing, I want everybody to understand this, because this is someone who's been there, done that. So I've been on this side of the fence in the green, and I've been on this side of the fence in the blue in law enforcement. Nothing gets done without beans and bullets. And what I mean by that is those that are behind the scenes that provide the fuel, that provide the food, that provide the paper to get things done, especially in the law enforcement side of it, who do a lot of those things. That's why they're called mission support. The mission doesn't get done the right way without the support. And so I love seeing that someone stepped up and said, man, we got to take care of the people behind the scene. TSA, Same thing. I'm glad they started getting paid. Now I'm glad that our mission support specialists and officers and those things that stand behind the law enforcement but the Border Patrol agents that are behind the mission support, the Customs and Border Protection officers, those mission support, the ICE mission support. Those people are important. And I don't care if they're Democrat or Republican. They need to get paid. Period. And I'm glad that our president stepped up and said we're gonna. And this is what I want people who might be more liberal watching this. He didn't say only pay the Republicans or the MAGA, like people like to always want to MAGA this, MAGA that, MAGA. He didn't say just pay them. He said pay everybody. And that's what it should be all about with all of us. Everybody's getting paid because what their mission that they have to do, it influences and it affects all of us. So I'm glad everybody is getting paid. Now, the House and the Senate, they can't seem to come to the same sheet of music. It seems like that is starting to wane. And it looks like we're going to get prayerfully everything and get through this week. I know there's some more votes that are coming up. A lot of people in the House, a lot of the House members, Republican members, aren't too thrilled with Speaker Johnson. They think he kind of sold out on some things on the agenda that they really want. So a lot of them aren't too thrilled with Thune, but also on the same token, not too many are filled with Jeffries or with Schumer. So you have a lot of people behind the scene. I know a lot of Democrats are saying, well, why did we go on this hiatus? Why did we shut the government down if nothing happened with ICE? And what their goal was, to me, was ridiculous because ICE is funded all the way up through 2028, 2029, something of that nature. So it's 3 years. It was a waste of time even to shut down things over that. But there's a lot of things that they talked about within that. But even you have Republicans who on the opposite side are saying basically almost the same thing. Well, what do we do to help protect ICE and things of that nature? Well, to me, it's to me because it's my podcast. But anyway, you got to take care of people first. And if everybody knows ICE and CBP is funded, then there's no reason to having people behind the scenes not getting paid. And you guys can negotiate. And I said this before, and I will say it once again. If you don't want folks to get paid, then you shouldn't get paid. You're in a position to make sure they get paid, and you're making sure that they're not getting paid, and you know they're not getting paid, then you should say, I'm not getting paid either. I know Ted Cruz said that. The president never takes a check. He hasn't taken a check. 5-6 years in office, he doesn't take a check, period. He doesn't get paid. He's already said that. That's well documented. He doesn't get paid. So they're all essential employees. They're still working. And I'm glad that they are starting, or they're looking at getting a payroll is starting. I found out today from one of our mission support specialists that they're looking at payroll starting so they can start getting their checks. Hopefully this Friday when CBP and those folks get paid. So that is so awesome that we've gotten over that hump in our country. But we're still in the middle of this war, conflict, battles, all air battles. And there really ain't any battles. We just blowing up stuff in Iran. I have said once again, I have no problem with supporting this. I wasn't a big fan in the beginning. If you can come out and you show to me, in which they have shown that they had the capability of building 11, I think they said, possibly enough uranium to create 11 nuclear missiles that could reach up to 2,500 miles away. So it means they would have been tattooing Europe if they wanted to, or if someone crazy enough to get in there. And we're blowing that. We're doing that to make sure that doesn't happen. I'm with it 100%. If it's just about oil, I'm not going to say I'm with that. But if it's with the other part, I don't want boots on the ground. I'm flat out. I've said it time and again, and I'm not changing my stance on that. But if it does happen to go that way, then you support our troops. You support our troops. I will support every man and woman because that's somebody like someone near and dear to my wife and I said to me today on this April 7th. Yeah, today is the 7th, isn't it? Yep, on this April 7th. That's somebody's husband, that's somebody's wife, that's somebody's father, that's somebody's mother, that's somebody's child that's over there, that's deployed. You support that. How can you look somebody in the face? How can we allow, because of the First Amendment and that freedom of speech, you still have idiots that will attack. And I'm saying idiots, and I'm not changing my wording on that, because if you're attacking our military members, you're an idiot. If you want to talk bad about the president or Congress or the House, the Senate, that's your business. They signed up for that. They know that. You want to dog out my fellow soldiers, airmen, seamen, Space Force, Coast Guard, Marines, you're an idiot. And I'm not changing that. I'm not pulling that back. I still love you, but you under the very freedom they provide, then you want to try to dog them out. That's idiotic. You may not necessarily like the mission that they've been put on and who put them on it. So always make that known. Always make it known. I don't like the mission that they're on. Or I don't like the person that put them on the mission, if that's you. But I'm going to support these troops so that they can do one thing that George Patton said. He said, don't die for your country. Make them fools die for their country. And that's how you win wars. That's what George Patton said. One of the greatest generals of all time said that. And it was a really good movie, just so you know. All right. But within that, we're still flying to the moon, baby. The U.S. is flying to the moon. Well, it's not just U.S. It's an international thing, but it's mostly the U.S. up there. Where the Artemis 2 voyage to the moon and return, it's an exciting thing. There's 4 astronauts that are beyond halfway to the moon. Now, matter of fact, they're already starting that slingshot around the moon before they start the term. It's a 10-day mission altogether, but I want to make sure we keep them up and keep praying for them and keep them up in our prayers. It can be a stressful time period, I'm sure, for them. They left their families all the way to the moon, slingshot around, bringing themselves back, coming back. So that's just, and the crazy part is, I love the movie Armageddon. I absolutely love the movie Armageddon. And when I saw what the Artemis 2 was doing, and they said slingshot around the moon, I thought to myself, that's in the movie. Now, granted, they're not trying to land on a meteor that can destroy the whole planet and et cetera, and blow it up in half, and Bruce Willis and nukes, that whole thing. It's none of that stuff. But they said slingshot around the moon, and that's when they said slingshot around the moon on this one. It just really cracked me up. I just really thought it was so cool that was part of the thing that they were talking about with that. So I just think it's real cool, and I'm excited about, because you have such people as NASA astronaut Victor Glover, who's black, and I believe he's the pilot of this thing. But he's made such a great statement that this mission is not about black history, but human history. But on the same token, so don't take away from that. On the same token, it gives young boys and young girls, brown, black, a little darker skin like the brother here. The brother holds some melanin, all right? When people say to me, and I tell them all the time, they say, why you look so young? I say, because they say black don't crack. And as dark as I am, it's going to take a while for me to start cracking. So I ain't showing age for a little while longer. So, but on the serious tip, it's so much and such an opportunity for young boys and girls, because with the young lady, there's the woman that's on the part of the crew. The other men, people can look and say, I can do this. I can go to the moon. It's not just sci-fi. I can go to the moon, because eventually we'll land on the moon. And it may not be in my lifetime, because I was born in 1968, and They said the lunar landing was 1969. Now, I said they was. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. And I think I said this before. But there's a dude who's really tight with me. He coaches with me. And he cracks me up with conspiracy theories. But I said, now, why did it take us 40-something years, almost 50 years, 47 years, I believe, to get back up, just to slingshot around the moon so we can get back? But then they landed on the moon and took right back off and got back. Oh, no. I don't believe it was a TV studio. I just think it brings up a really good and funny thing to talk about. So we are in at this time. And I love the fact, man, we can all look at this as Americans and see what's going on this space mission that the Artemis 2 is on, and this voyage. And once again, I pray for them. I keep them up in prayer, because this is not an easy thing to do. They've accepted a great responsibility in what they're doing. And I just really think it's I just think it's a great thing that they're doing. So we want to make sure that we're supporting them. We want to make sure that we're praying for them. We want to make sure that we're supporting something that's near and dear to my heart, that we're supporting our law enforcement. You don't have to like everything that they're doing. Should we hold people accountable? Heck yeah. But I'm going to say right here, I support the badge. I support the blue. We should be supporting them. We should be holding them up. Yeah, they're holding up to a different standard than some. Many of them know. If you ever been in leadership position, you know you're held to a different standard than everyone else. But with that, there comes great responsibility. And with that great responsibility, we should be supporting them. We should be standing with them. We should be encouraging them. Yes, everybody needs to be held accountable. If there's something wrong, there needs to be accountability that's held. But within that, they still should know that their community is behind them. And I've said this before over many years. I've seen some awesome law enforcement officers, and I've seen some that should have never been anywhere near a badge and a gun and that uniform. And on the same token, you still pray, because they still have families. They do. A lot of them still have families, and we want certain respect, etc., for ours, and we should return that in the same manner. But also, we do want to make sure that people are held accountable for their actions. So that's also highly important that we do that. That we do keep those things in mind, that we are supporting our law enforcement officers, because it's what they're doing is not an easy task in any way, shape, or form. It's not an easy task. I know plenty of guys and girls. It's not an easy task, but what they're doing, but we want to make sure that we are supporting them. And one of the ways and one of the things that I see that our law enforcement officers do is they get involved in the community. And in getting involved in the community, I know law enforcement officers who coach youth sports. They get involved, and I love it. And this next segment of GPS is brought to you by Spartans Youth Football. And we in Spartans Youth Football, there are law enforcement officers who've committed to being involved in youth sports. They're committed to the program. And there's some that don't. I know law enforcement officers that coach in different on different teams, where they committed or try to show like they're committed anyway, but they're committed to what they're doing and are committed to these kids. And it's just awesome to see them out there with these young kids, because now it gives them that sense of purpose of when they go on duty and what they're doing. with a lot of them. Everybody's a little different. And it doesn't just have to be sports. If it's acting, if it's singing, if it's just arts and craft, if whatever it might be, when that person gets you, and I'm gonna speak to my law enforcement officers out there from all the different branches, whether it's El Paso Police, Customs Border Protection, Border Patrol, FBI, fire marshal, you name it, your law enforcement, deportation. You have something to give back to the community. And you don't have to be an athletic coach. You don't even have to be athletic. But in between here, in between those earlobes, people can learn from you. You can teach young people, you can teach adults, you can teach seniors. When people start to ask, what is it that you do? Share with them. Are there going to be folks that you're going to have people who don't understand all that you do, and anything that doesn't look right to them, they're going to attack it. And you can say, well, what about Graham versus Connor? Well, that don't sound right to me. You should be doing this, this, and this, and this. It's almost like with being a born-again believer, when everybody wants to tell you how to be a Christian. Well, you say, hey, why don't you receive Christ as your Savior? I don't need to do all that. How are you going to tell me? That's like, I'm going to say it like this. That's like me going up to somebody Hispanic and telling them how to be hey, you should be doing this like this. That's just silly. I can't tell you I can tell you what the word of God says and what the word might say, or different laws, etc. But I can't tell you how to be you. So what you have as law enforcement officers is powerful. And you can reach out and you can get into our community, and especially with these young kids. So I love that this next segment is sponsored by Spartans Youth Football. And not just that, but also Pure Vitality, because Pure Vitality, that's my go-to. That's my go-to. You see, I got my notes. I ain't even trying to hide from you. Pure Vitality, that's my go-to. That keeps my mind sharp. It helps in recovery when I work out. It helps my sleep. So this segment coming up, especially when I work out. And speaking of working out, the NBA playoffs are quickly approaching. And who do we need to watch in the East and the West? Well, Detroit's already wrapped up the Eastern Conference first top seed. So everything for the Eastern Conference has to go through Detroit unless they get knocked off in the early round. They had a solid season, and unless they fall apart, they will be number one in the East. I think they're basically they did lock it up after they beat my Sixers a few days ago. So, and Boston is number two. The Knicks are floating around. They got to try to win out, but I think Boston's going to hold on to the number two spot because, unfortunately, my son-in-law Darius, he's a Knicks fan. And this is crazy. I'm going to show you this. You can see behind me, I'm a 76ers fan. My son-in-law loves the Knicks. My dad is a Celtics fan. My wife, Spurs. I think my son is Spurs also. So we cover all gamuts of basketball in my family. Now, football, me, my son-in-law Darius, and my son Trey, we're Raider fans. So we're the smartest three in the family when it comes to football. We're the smartest three. I'm just saying. Sarah was really with my father-in-law when he was with the Colts. He loved the Colts because she liked Peyton Manning. So I don't know who she likes now. My oldest daughter, she really liked Russell Wilson. So she was Seattle, then she was Denver, then she picked. I don't even know where to do this, so I don't even know what team. But my other son-in-law, Bert, he is a Broncos fan. So I think he's polluted my grandchildren, and they're Bronco fans also. So I think they're polluted, but we'll keep praying for them. And then I have an enormous amount of Cowboy family, whether it's here in El Paso, ministry family, Jersey family. I got too many people that are polluted with Cowboys. We got Packer backers up in there, but we got to because we got a Hall of Famer, and we got a Hall of Famer. I have a Packer jersey up on my wall Dave Robinson. So and I got Packer books all over the place. Love Vince Lombardi. So we do have that. But anyway, I digress with that. My Sixers, they need to keep winning to avoid the play-in game, because that play-in game, you're one and done. Unless you're the 7th or 8th seed. If you lose the first game, then you have to play a second one to get in to be the 8th seed. So they need to finish as the 6th seed. They can avoid that. Now, of course, if they finish as the 6th seed, chances are they'll pull the Celtics. No, I'm sorry, excuse me. They'll pull the Knicks in the first round of the playoffs, which once again, after I went through that whole family history, that'll be a whole lot of fun, because I will be talking trash to my son-in-law every second of the game, and he'll be trying to ignore me. And the awesome part is I do believe that we'll be with or around each other when the playoffs start that weekend, I think. So I'm not too sure, but I think the playoffs start the weekend of the 18th, which is also WrestleMania weekend. And I will touch on that in just a second. So anyway, so my Sixers need to do their thing. The Raptors are trying to overtake them for the 6th seed. In the West, it's all about OKC staying healthy. Now we saw Wemby get hurt the other day, contusion. He didn't get hit. My son, my son Trey, who is a Spurs fan. No, it wasn't that. It was my wife. She watched it and she said it was a cheap shot. The dude never touched him. Paul George never touched him. It's just the way his body contorted. But when you're that big around, those things can happen. But if Wemby's out for any time period, it could be tough for the Spurs, even though they've shown they can win games without him. But actually, they had a pretty good record without him during the regular season. But with him, they're right up there with OKC. I still see OKC coming out of the West. I think that year of experience and already being a champion is really going to kick in and play its role in there. So I don't think the Spurs will overtake OKC. There's not enough games left for the number 1 seed and that top seed. I really believe, because it's going through Oklahoma City, is really big. The Lakers and Nuggets, they're battling for the 3rd seed. And right now, the Lakers have the advantage over them as far as because of head-to-head record. So they have the tiebreaker over the Nuggets, but with Houston floating around as well. Now with Reeves and Luka out, the Lakers, I think, are going to fall. I think the Lakers are going to fall apart the last 4 or 5 games, whatever they have left. I think they're really going to fall apart, and they're going to end up in a 5th or 6th seed. And not staying in the 3rd seed, because staying in the 3rd seed, that first round playoff series, they're the home team. They have a home court advantage. But without that, I think they're in a tough spot. LeBron just doesn't have it to carry the team without Reeves and Luka. It's part of them. And I thought that they were really gelling well now with each other. But with the injuries that are partaking these guys, I just don't see how they make that run and really make the impact that they could have. I thought they were one and done anyway. I thought they were going to win the first series and be out the next series. Whether they, I thought they would win their first series and then they probably pull the Spurs unless the Spurs got upset, and then they would get eliminated in the Western Conference semifinals. That's how far I had the Lakers going with the way that they were playing. So they're really battling on there. But what do you think? Get in the comments and let me know who you think. And when this comes out, you'll have time. You have plenty of time. Let me know who you think can sneak in there and do some damage in the playoffs. And then before I get into a couple other things, I do want to congratulate once again the UCLA Bruins and the Michigan Wolverines for winning the NCAA women's and men's basketball championships respectively. UCLA blew out South Carolina. I did not see a 28-point. Okay, I picked South Carolina to win, so that tells you that. I could not have foreseen a 28-point shellacking. Now, they were up as many 30-plus points. Them girls put it on them. And like I said, I believe it was every point in the Final Four for UCLA was scored by seniors. That's senior leadership right there. And they're not even, they're just regrouping. Those girls coming in behind them are solid. But I do like one thing what Dawn Staley said. She said, when you get smacked, you got to figure out why'd you get smacked, and you got to come back smacking next year. They did that. But right now, they're on a bad side of one thing with history. They've been blown out the last couple of years in the semifinals or the championship. They've been blown out. So they're not finishing. They're not finishing. And I know my wife and my daughter and granddaughter, they're probably going to get mad. My daughters probably get mad. But it reminds me of TCVA 15 Green. That's my granddaughter's volleyball team in San Antonio. And they play tremendous Friday and Saturday. But Sunday mornings in that gold bracket, when it counts, there's something that's not clicking in their minds. And I will say this, and this is winning can be contagious, but so can losing. And they know how to win through the round robin stage, but they have not figured out in their mind we can win when we're in the gold bracket, and now it's one and done. And that's the one thing they're really gonna have to overcome. And I'm glad they're going through it. I'm glad they are, because I'm just telling you, from 40 plus years ago, I had to learn how to overcome certain things to keep winning. And then those other things that I didn't initially, once I conquered them, I got delivered and conquered them. Now I know that, hey, you don't have to settle for boom, boom, and boom. You can keep pressing your way and going through to the next level. So that's a shout out to JC and her TCVA Green 15 crew. Y'all need to get over the hump, because I ain't traveling all the way to Utah to watch y'all lose your minds on Friday and Saturday. And then I'm up in Utah, and then Sunday morning, whatever it is y'all wanted. I'm not trying to visit Utah. I'm going to Utah. We going into the stadium, and y'all going to win out. Period. I sound a little hostile, huh? Yes, you're going to win. All right. So congratulations on that. Gino Auriemma, your conduct was terrible. Your apology was terrible. Man up. All you got to do is say, Dawn Staley, I apologize. You don't have to mean it. Just say it. And then everybody assume you mean it. Dawn Staley, I apologize for how I conducted myself towards you after the end of the game. Not all the other coaches, but towards her. Because you didn't speak to the other coaches. He didn't talk to the other coaches. He only said something to Dawn Staley. So why are you apologizing to the whole staff? I'm going to say this much. If you cut the head off the body, the rest of the body dies. So why are you apologizing to the body, but you didn't talk to the head? That's who he should have been speaking to. That's who he should have been speaking to in his apology. Once again, Michigan did his job beating UConn. UConn still 3 of the last 4 years being in the finals. That's tremendous. Did this Michigan team get out of the shadow of the Fab Five? Those cats are legendary. No, they didn't win any championships, but those cats are legendary. So we'll see if they really, but congratulations to them for beating a tremendous team that they defeated. But back to I didn't touch on the NHL, so I want to touch, before that, last thing, before I get into the NHL. UFL, the football's good, and I like the rules. I like the rules about no punting once you cross the 50-yard line. I wish the NFL did that. Now you got to play football. I love the fact that if you kick a 60-something plus yard, 65, either 60 or 65 plus, you get 4 points instead of just 3. I love that, because what they're doing is they're pushing offense. They're pushing points. And also they're letting defenses play defense. So a team doesn't get to cross and all of a sudden they just punting it. Nah, you can play football. And I love that. And there's strategy that comes with, and I saw some teams that say, we're going to pull up short of the 50 so we can punt it. But they were playing field position because of the score, etc. But I thought it added something to the game. So at UFL, I do see the play is a lot better. The level of play is a lot better. So I have been checking out those games because that's part of what I do. but I do enjoy. I have enjoyed a few games, and I know that I call him nephew, but I know my nephew Mike Morales. If he's texting me on it, that means he's really enjoying it. So, and every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, he's texting me about UFL games. So he coaches in junior high. Soon will be coaching in high school. And we really get a chance to enjoy that. NHL, the battle for the last two wildcard positions in the Eastern Conference is terrific. My Flyers are squeezed into the third place in the Metropolitan, so now they will be in the playoffs if it started today, but they have to keep winning. They had a great win against Boston, I believe it was the other day. They play New Jersey tonight. We have to beat those teams, and we got to put the sticks on Detroit Thursday. The Flyers got to beat those teams. Yes, I have a Flyers up in the corner. You can't see it, but I do have the Flyers up there. I do have Flyers on my wall as well. So you can, let me pan around for you real quick. See that? There goes my Flyers. So my Raiders, of course, my Sixers, and then up in the corner, I talked about, my Phillies and my Uncle Dave of Green Bay. So that's our teams right there. So that's a quick panorama shot, if you will. So the Flyers got they got a lot. They have some tough work they got to get done. So I'm looking forward to that, and them finally making the playoffs because they haven't been in the playoffs in a while. They have not won a championship in 50 years. 1976, I believe, was the last one they won. The Broad Street Bullies. We've been in it a couple times since then. Edmonton put it on us. I can't remember who else. I think the Rangers or somebody beat us up. But we've been in there a couple times. We just haven't finished the mission. So Flyers, really hoping for you. And two more things to close up before I close out. WrestleMania is coming up. I'll talk even more about it next week on my next podcast. It'll be my WrestleMania, if you will, podcast. We go in the WrestleMania week. The build has gotten a lot better. It wasn't that great, but now I believe that the build has gotten a lot better. A lot of the talk between the wrestlers seems real. It seems like these jokers should be fighting behind the scenes, but they're really doing a great job of building this thing now. I will talk about the cost of it. I think it's ridiculous that the common fan, and I've been to a WrestleMania, so I'm just going to tell you that flat out. I've been to WrestleMania, and I enjoyed it. I could have went to a couple more, but I told you I'm not paying that money to watch. And it's not that I can't afford it, so does everybody know that? And I'm not, just so you know. But I just refuse to pay. I grew up going to Great American Bash in Philadelphia, or the different cards that they had in Philly. I've been to wrestling in Indiana. Now, when I went to Fort Sill, I was in the military, so it was free. But I was in basic training. But here I've been to cards, and one of the things is being able to go family or group of guys go, teenagers go. When I went to Great American Bash, it was myself, Sean Phillips, Steven Robinson, and Teddy Ellis. So two of my cousins. One of them was a really good friend of mine. So the four of us went, and we saw Ric Flair battle Hawk, and Dusty Rhodes wrestle in a cage. Manny Fernandez versus the Barbarian. I remember this was 1986. And I remember these matches because they stood out so well and they were so awesome. But that's the kind of thing that people are being priced out of with these ticket price, because they don't get the opportunity to go live like that. And I really thought WWE messed up, probably because of TKO moving from New Orleans to Las Vegas. They should have kept it in New Orleans, kept the prices low, and watched that thing be packed out. Lady Spartans. My Lady Spartans 12U flag football. This is our first venture in the girls flag football, and our first game is coming up this Saturday, or this will be out before then. So this Saturday, April 11th is our first. I'm excited about it because there's gonna be a lot of young ladies out there that are. Our team is made up. We have one 12-year-old. Everybody else is 10 and 11, and they battle. They work hard in practice. They worked hard when we scrimmaged our 10U boys. 7-on-17, we scrimmaged them. They work hard in practice, and I can't wait to see how they do this Saturday against the El Paso Ducks, 9 o'clock at Alvin Park, field number 5. Oh, I got it memorized already, baby, because I know these girls are going to do some exciting things. And I'm looking forward to seeing some of them. We have some really good athletes. And I was telling a buddy of mine, I said, these girls are all 10. That means that's 3 years they can play with each other, most of them anyway. I ain't going anywhere. I might stop coaching the kids, the boys, and just coach these girls for another 3 years. And once they all 12, I can just officially retire because they're gonna mud walk folks. These girls are gonna battle some people. So I am so looking forward to it. And I just really know that they're gonna represent themselves, their parents, and the Spartans in an awesome way. So remember, support our troops. You may not like everything, but support our law enforcement, no matter what it may be called. Fellow law enforcement officers, hold each other accountable to a standard. Protect one another, watch each other's back. But once again, like I said before, support our troops, because the very freedom that we get to sleep under, they're the ones paying the price for. And prayerfully, none of them have to pay the ultimate sacrifice. But that's our prayer for them. So you keep supporting them. God bless you. Have an awesome week. This is Bill Smith with GPS. We're out. Thank you for joining me for God, Politics, and Sports. Stay engaged, stay encouraged, and I look forward to speaking to you once again on God, Politics, and Sports.